Hello everyone, Tyknighter here, and today I've decided to talk about the No More Heroes series, talk about its history, my thoughts on each game, and do a big review on the third game in the series. Or, in all the games that I was able to get my hands on and play. But more on that later. If you liked what you saw, then please consider liking the video as it helps the channel out and maybe subscribing for more future content like this. Other than that, sit back, relax, and enjoy the video, as I'll be talking about No More Heroes, the fun but flawed game series. Also, my pronunciation is really bad, so I apologize if I mispronounce any of names, locations, etc. wrong. First, let's go over some of the history of the Grasshopper manufacturer as a whole. Grasshopper Manufacture was first founded in the year 1998 on March 30th in Japan in Suganami. Its founder, Gochu Tsuda, based the name of the company on the song of the same name by the UK band Ride. The company was originally supposed to be called Batamon, which sounds weird, and that's because it is. You see, Bata means grasshopper, and Mon is a thing, and when you put the words together, it means copy or fake. So Gochi just went with the grasshopper and added manufacturing because the company was building things. The team was responsible for at least 7 original titles, and some of these were fought with financial risk. These games included Samurai Champloo, Sidetracked, which needs to be in your heads for a bit, trust me on this one, Blood Plus, One Night Kiss, and Reuploaded Evangelion, Sound Impact. All 3 of these games were based off a popular anime, and licensing was well in issue. Blood Plus One Night Kiss was Japan exclusive despite it getting an English release, and the Evangelion game was Japan exclusive, I think. I tried looking up some info on this one, although the soundtrack for it was made available for purchase on iTunes. So it may be out there, but who knows? You're free to tell me in the comments. Samurai Champloo Sidetrack is the only anime-based game out of the 3 that has a confirmed English release to it, coming out in North America on April 11th, 2006, and I wish I could play this game because I love Samurai Champloo and has one of the best English dubs ever. Samurai Champloo Sidetrack's gameplay was actually the inspiration for the No More Heroes series. Now, it didn't have stuff like blocking or jabs that No More Heroes had used, but instead used a combo system where a combo tree was displayed. Also, apparently Blood Plus One Night Kiss had a hand in the development too, but I don't know how many assets were used for that game to No More Heroes. No More Heroes was going to be planned for the Xbox 360, however Yoshiro Wada suggested they switch to the Nintendo Wii. This was because of the unique control scheme that the console had. The name of the game, No More Heroes, was actually based on the album of No More Heroes by the British punk band The Stranglers. At one point in development, Tsuda stated that he wanted to make the game as violent as possible, even more so than Manhunt 2, one of the only games to receive the AO rating from the ESRB. Although that never came into fruition, which probably saved the series. Like, just think of how it went down. No More Heroes would have been a niche series as is, and Grasshopper would not have been able to sell the game on store shelves. No More Heroes was released on the Wii in 2007 and had 2 versions for it, an uncensored one and a censored one. The censored one was released in Japan with no blood, while America and Europe got the uncensored one. Although Europe did get the censored version as well. There was a version that had the blood be black like Miss Square thing that I hope I'm describing it right, but I could not find any good screenshots of it, so I apologize. Although it was released. There was a censored version that was called No More Heroes, Heroes Paradise, and that was released on July 20th, 2011, and Tsuda had no involvement in this port. However, there's also a version of it called No More Heroes Paradise that had the added blood in, so I really don't know how this entire ordeal went down, but depending on your version, it will be censored or not censored. There was a version with the added blood that was released in Japan called No More Heroes Red Zone, which came out on July 21st, 2011. Overall, the first No More Heroes sold very well in America. Not so much for Japan, though. However, Heroes Paradise did fare a bit better in terms of sales for it. I did not play this game until it came out for the Switch, but I was glad to finally play it. It had a very nice story that made the characters likable. The bosses even had backstory to them that I enjoyed. One of my favorites was Dr. Peace. Although I do wish some of the characters had more time to shine, but I take what I get. Although my favorite character has to be Travis Touchdown himself. He is a dork, goofy, and no one really takes him seriously. Combat in the game was overall very fun, and was one of my favorite parts of No More Heroes. It felt very nice slashing enemies and getting upgrades in different beam katanas was overall rewarding. However, the PC port for No More Heroes is something to bring up. I completed both 1 and 2 twice. one time on the Switch and one time on PC. I will say the PC port is good, but it has issues overall. At the time I read in this review, Grasshopper said they would fix them. Although my main issue with No More Heroes on PC is some of the fact that you need a controller to play it. Which is weird, although I would probably play the controller with it anyway, because it's probably better, but, you know, it's just nice to have. Like the Yakuza games, when the controller is the better option, but it's there for those that don't have it. The overworld was bland and interesting. No police force or anything. It makes sense that everyone's off killing each other in ranked fights. Overall, No More Heroes with spark in the franchise. Before I do talk about the second game, there are actually 3 Flash-based games made by Marvelous for the mobile devices in 2008. These 3 games are No More Heroes, Flash games, Chapter Super Taiga, which I hope I said right, which is a bike-based minigame that tasks the player to make Travis race down to Sylvia's house. Glastonbury Chapter is an adaptation of Pure White Giant Glastonbury game that is in the No More Heroes universe. And finally, we have Travis Edition and features 7 stages, with 2 of them being ranking fights from the first game. All 3 of these games costed 100 points to download, and I have no idea if these games are even playable still. Most likely lost of time, but who knows, someone may have them saved. These 3 games are made for the iMode. What is the iMode, you may ask? Well, it's a mobile internet service that is popular in Japan that was made on February 22nd, 1999, and includes a wide variety of internet services. Although I'm not exactly here to talk about an internet service, but it's there for those that are wondering. As for the 3 games, well, not a lot of info is on them, and I honestly really don't know how to describe them from the screenshots I have. As a matter of fact, that's the only ones that are even provided for them, so yeah. Or, I suppose the ones I could even find. Now, we can get on to the next game, No More Heroes 2, Desperate Struggle, but before I actually talk about the game, there was a short manga and art book made by Yusaka Kuizaki that came out for pre-order editions of No More Heroes 2. This thing is very hard to find, and it's apparently not translated to English fully. Despite the name being called a erotic comic, there's nothing inappropriate in the book at all. Although, this thing is worth bringing up, because it does involve the backstory of one of the characters in No More Heroes 2. That being Skelter Helter, who is trying to avenge his brother, Helter Skelter, which, by the way, Helter Skelter is named after the Beatles song of the same name. The development of the Desperate Struggle was done by the same staff who worked on the first game. There were also hints of there being an integration of the Wii Motion Plus system, and even a multiplayer mode. Although these 2 things were never actually in the final product. Although having a multiplayer No More Heroes game would be really cool. Just saying, think about it. Desperate Struggle was first brought up on October 8th, 2008 at the Tokyo Game Show in Chiba, Japan. The trailer showed Travis wearing different attire where he wore a black jacket with ragged pants and a simple t-shirt. There's actually some early concept art of his design art for his new design, but it was later dropped for his more signature red jacket and anime-like t-shirt. There was even an online event that was hosted on August 18th, 2009, where fans in America could submit one t-shirt design that could be used in the game. There was one that Japan had that was hosted by Marvelous. There are some articles talking about the winners and even some talks of it from different people, so they're out there. Desperate Struggle makes some improvements that the original game struggled with and fixes them. Jobs have been replaced with 8-bit based minigames and are actually really fun to do. So much so that apparently the creator, Sudia himself, had to tell the team to stop. Add into the factors that you don't need money for ranked fights at all. So you can just go in and do your next ranked fight, and that was it. In terms of combat, I will say that No More Heroes 1 and 2 are really good, and it's possibly one of my favorite elements in both games. Although 2 felt more fun and had a bunch of action, and just slashing away at enemies was just downright satisfying. My favorite weapon has to be Rose Nasty, the signature beam katanas wielded by Travis on the box art of the game. They deal less damage, but are fast, and their combos are just overall fun to use. You even get a chance to play as multiple characters, that being Shinobu Jacobs and Henry Cooldown. Even though you only play as Henry for a boss fight and Shinobu for 3 levels, it was still a nice feature. However, another feature I like is that they had someone go after your rank, which is a nice change of pace for the series. I don't want to talk about the gameplay too much for these games, as I want to save it for No More Heroes 3. Trust me on this one, I have a good reason for it, and it ties into one of my issues with it. That's not to say, however, that I don't have issues with the game at all, because believe me, I do. The hub world from the first game was completely gone, and while it was empty and had no life in it, it was still fun to drive around on Travis's bike. Adding on to the issue I had is that the bosses did not really have any backstory to them that made them stand out, unlike the previous game. Now, don't get me wrong, they weren't that well developed, but they had character development in a way. In this game, you don't get that, and it's just empty. Also, some plot points for the first game were just forgotten about entirely. However, Desperate Struggle had one big issue to it, and that was the fact that the game was just too easy. I was able to beat the game in about 7.5 hours, and I could have maybe beaten it sooner if I skipped the revenge missions. Also, another key thing about Desperate Struggle is that on the back of the box art for the Wii, it stated that there would be 50 unique bosses, but this is not the case. There are a total of 15 bosses in the game, so there was some false advertising on that end. This only applied to the Wii version, and I don't know if it applied to the Switch cover. Probably not, but I bought the games digitally, so who knows. Oh, and the PC port of Desperate Struggle is actually the worst port out of the two, but Grasshopper said they would fix the issues as mentioned before, which, they had broken achievements, but who knows, they may fix them. No More Heroes 2 Desperate Struggle was supposed to be the last game to feature Travis Touchdown. This was stated by Studio himself, and he would continue with the No More Heroes, but the Travis saga ended. Which, of course, did not age very well, but before I talk about that, I need to talk about one more game that was forgotten in time. That game being No More Heroes World Ranker, which was an online mobile game where you made your very own custom character and fought players online or completed a series of missions. The game came out on August 30th, 2012. The game is exclusive to Japan, although Studio was hoping the game would make a big impact for it to come to the West. However, that clearly did not happen, and the game was taken off the store pages on both Google Play and the Apple Store, with the game itself and its website taken offline. After that, if we don't count World Ranker, it would be at least 9 years for us to even get a proper No More Heroes game, and we would eventually get one. The next game is called No More Heroes Travis Strikes Again, if you even count this one as proper. This No More Heroes game was actually the first one I played, and to be fair, it's my least favorite out of the bunch due to it not really being like the first two. It's a top-down perspective-based game, and you can play as Travis Touchdown or Badman. I'm going to keep this part brief, because this is one of the few games I played, or the ones that are actually available for me to play, but I just didn't like it. Had its gameplay been done like the first two, I may have given it more of a shot, but I heard people liked it, so more power to them. Now, before I talk about the next game, and the main one I'll be covering at that, I should at least talk about the one thing that I honestly don't know where to put, so bear with me here. There is this magical girl's mecha anime in the world of No More Heroes called Pure White Lover Bizarre Jelly that Travis is a huge fan of. The reason I bring this up is because apparently there was an interview with computer and video games and Studio himself. They both revealed a possible real-life adaptation of the series, as the publishers they work with, Marvelous, makes anime. This entire thing was released a decade ago in 2008 on March 15th, so I don't know if anything is still a go for it. However, anything is possible. I mean, were we expecting a new Bubsy game? Of course not, but we got one anyway. Now I can cover the main game, No More Heroes 3. Alright, hello everyone. It's post-edit Tyknighter here, and I don't know what really ended up happening with the recording, but apparently I just jumped straight to the story of the game instead of me, just talking about a little bit about No More Heroes 3 and its little development history. I honestly don't know how this part really got mixed up in the recording. As y'all can see here, it's pretty late here, and I'm just trying to get this video out so I can get it done and out by the day that you're seeing it on the 30th of December. And yeah, so basically, No More Heroes 3 was announced on E3 2019 and was supposed to come out in the year 2020, but was delayed due to the pandemic. So yeah, it came out in 2021 on the Nintendo Switch. And yeah, that's a little bit about the info. That's pretty much it. That's all I put down for that section. I deeply apologize for this brief interruption, but now we can continue on with the story of No More Heroes 3. 8 years before the events of the first game, we meet a young boy named Damien Reuploaded, which I hope I said the last name right, who is up one night and sees a spaceship crash land on Earth. Damien decides to investigate and finds a small alien named Jess Baptiste VI, who is nicknamed Fu. Damien takes care of Fu and the two become best friends. After building a spaceship, Fu promises Damien that he will see each other in 20 years before going back to his home planet. Which, by the way, this opening cutscene is very well animated and well done for its 2D art style. 20 years later, 2 years after the events of Travis Strikes Again, Damien is now the CEO of Utopian Pina, an urban renewal company who uses Fu's alien abilities and technology to help him run the company. Fu comes back in a large spaceship and tells Damien that he has become prince of his homeworld, for him to only be exiled to a prison due to him destroying a planet. He then decides to help Damien out by taking over the planet by superheroism for the trend. Travis does not take too kindly to this, and decided to take out these so-called heroes on his own. That shall be all I'm going to the story. The characters are interesting in their own right, with my favorite being Jean. She can talk in this game. Like, just listen to her.
Travis, you're behind enemy lines now.
Huh? Gene? Have you always sounded like that?
Something wrong?
No, it's just I always assumed you were a female.
Are you tweaking? This is how I've always sounded.
That's pretty badass.
If there's anything you're not clear on, let me know. I'll lay it out for you.
Ah, so you're basically my navigator, huh?
Come on, man. Don't underestimate my prowess in battle. I'm right up there with
Yeah, let's not use that comparison anymore. It's gonna make things more confusing.
Now, as for the gameplay, I actually get into the gist of how combat works, but I should mention that I actually own this game on the Switch, but did not play it fully due to some issues I had with it. I will be explaining combat for the first two games, as it goes into a big issue I have with this one. In No More Heroes 3, combat is really fun, and I enjoyed it overall. You can slash enemies with a light and heavy attack. New to this game are the Death Glove chips, which was carried over from Travis Strikes Again. You will start off with a kick that can knock back enemies, but you will later unlock 3 more that will allow you to throw enemies with psychokinesis. There is also this mode where Travis will go into a mech suit and fight off giant alien bosses. These moments can be fun, however the camera can be a little awkward to control as both the left and right stick on the controller I was using move Travis and the camera in a way. The right stick is the one that is most moving the camera, but it's awkward, and after some time, I actually kind of hated these sections. But my issues with the gameplay don't end there, as I actually have a few more. The roulette, for starters, has been pretty much been nerfed, and none of the fun power-ups from the first two games are present here. No more Travis turning into a tiger from 2, the one where you fire projectiles is gone too, and Dark Side mode, which was my favorite, is gone as well. You can use the mech suit in one of the power-ups, but I suppose that is a replacement for the projectile one, but it still sucks. Then we have how the entire levels play out. In the first two games, each level had a theme, and you must slash your way through enemies to get to the boss. This was honestly what made me love No More Heroes as a whole. The gameplay kept me hooked throughout. However, that entire thing has been removed. Instead, you must play out these missions to get the currency that you need to fight the boss. Yes, you do need to pay for ranking fights, that has returned, as well as doing jobs, but this is something I actually don't mind doing. But the fact that the devs took out the one thing that made the first two games perfect, which was having levels where you went from point A to point B, is an issue that I and many people have pointed out as well. It just felt odd, and I hate saying this because I love the gameplay of No More Heroes 3. The boss fights were also fun to fight, although they are a bit easy. There are a few that do give you a run for your money, so it's not a complete walk in the park. Travis does have a few upgrades that you can get, like more health, attack damage, longer beam katana battery, etc. that he can get, which is nice. You can also get your hand on Death Glove chips that give him passive abilities like doing more damage with heavy attacks, but lose damage from his normal ones, and vice versa. The list goes on from there, so you can tweak them to your liking. They do require materials to make, so make sure to get those and such. Although, for some reason, and I have no idea why they took this out either, but Travis does not get different beam katanas. He sticks with his main one, the Bloodberry. You don't get any of the Tsubaki variants, and even my favorite weapon from the second game, the Rose Nasty, is removed. I think having different beam katanas would definitely spice up the gameplay and such. I also felt that Unreal Engine 4 was not utilized to its fullest extent in this game. I get that No More Heroes has a unique art style, but to me, I like the more darker art style that the first game had. No More Heroes 2, while lighter for its art style, had that feeling of being a No More Heroes game. It is nice to get ride on Travis's motorcycle again, though. That was a feature I did love. However, the overworld is mostly bland yet again, but it does have a little more life in it than the first game. I should also point out that this port of the game is just a straight out port of the Switch version, just like how the rest of the games were played out pretty much. The achievements aren't broken though, so there is that. Although there are parts of the map that don't clip with each other, which is kinda weird, but oh well. I know I've mostly been negative towards this game so far, but there are things I do like about it. As mentioned before, the gameplay is very fun and I do enjoy it. The story is rather fun as well. It has the No More Heroes charm to it that I do in fact love. Each time you start a chapter, you get a nice animated intro and outro after beating a boss. Felt like you're in an actual anime of some kind. Although that's pretty much it. I don't have a whole lot of positivity to say about No More Heroes 3. While I do like the game, I can't deny that there's a lot of things about this game that I hate. I do recommend the game to fans of the series when it's on sale. as paying full price for the game won't be worth it. That shall be it for the video. I hope you all liked what you saw, and if you want more content like this, then I recommend you subscribe and like the video, as it helps with the channel and gets the video out there. My name is Tyknighter, and until next time, have a nice day.